Hello! Peeked the fuck out of that one, didn't I? Hello! Hello! And welcome to Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast. Kevin's laughing because that's the third. Was that the third or fourth take?
That was the third hello, but it was definitely the sexiest.
It was.
Hello.
It was.
Welcome
the
to
first
Late
two-
Night Radio with Jay Brennan on the ones and twos.
Well, it's because I peeked and it all snapped on the first one that I went way too loud on, so I was like, better sexy this up.
Mm-hmm.
Bring out my cold voice. I think I actually
Jason
do have a bit
Brennan
of a...
peeking
kinda
in
hear it in the
through
throat.
your bedroom window every night from 2 a.m. till 4. The witching hour.
Don't accuse comedians of things like that. It's a tough time.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of confused people out there trying to take a good man down. But hello, how are you getting on? This is an episode.
All right, Barry White. Like, that wasn't super sexy.
Well, I can't help it, but this is my regular voice.
You sound like you could be a character in a film where you only see their face talking into a microphone, like in a radio station, like that. You only see the side profile of that.
Right? Yeah. Like the like Warrior or the Warriors. Run on home, Warriors.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
There you go. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
I could do that. You know who told me to run on home the other day? The Gardaí. That's not strictly true.
Were you out having cans?
Well, myself and some friends were out in the canal yesterday, and then it was by the end of the night. It was just myself and James Moran, a friend of the show.
Shout out James Moran.
He never listens to the show, but maybe he'll listen to this. But yes, the two of us were sitting there, and then the guards were coming over and asking us if we were drinking or not, and we hadn't got any cans at that stage. But they were getting into it with this group beside us, and like there was, you know, when there was an argument and you kind of want to pick, you want a hero, you want to pick one side. They were all just terrible. Like, all the young lads were just like, the young lads were pulling out. So the guards were coming over and like moving them on because they were drinking and getting them out of the area. And the young lads were pulling out the classics like, I pay my taxes, so I'm technically your boss. You're a civil servant. And the guards were just like coming back at them.
You say the classic, but I'm telling you now that down in Carlow and Kilkenny and places like that's not what the people were saying to the guards.
Yeah,
they wish that had been the classics. That's not
They're like, I know your young lad goes to school, and I'll be waiting for him with a bat. But but then the guards are coming back with this like, actually, under Section 8 of the whatever Act, we have all this right to do this. So, but they're like, it was like they're dealing with like drunk 21-year-olds. They shouldn't be.
So they were of age.
Oh, they're of age.
Okay.
Yeah, but like this. So I've seen the guards do a lot of stuff over the last couple of weeks during lockdown, and I've never seen them de-escalate a situation. They were like getting up in their faces, being like, "Actually, if you read the remit, we're actually allowed to do this." And so they're just going back and forth. And then when the guys were leaving, one of them was just like, "We're not even knackers." Like it's like she, you know, on the verge of tears, she'd be like, "We're not even knackers." Jesus Christ! I don't want to be rooting for the guards in this situation, but you're all terrible. But and then the kicker was, this was all happening at like 11:30 on a Saturday night. It was just so quiet, I kind of forgot what time it was. And I was like, I was giving the guards the benefit of the doubt. It was like 3 a.m. I was like, right, maybe things should be winding down. I was like, you should be there to keep the peace, sure, but don't be, I don't know.
And have the crack. Keep the peace by having the crack sometimes, maybe. Let people wear your hat.
We're not even knackers, like. It's fine if you harass people, but I'm from a nice part of Dublin.
Yeah, you're never going to win anyone over with that.
No, but then the guards were like, "I know you're not knackers. I know." That's different.
But you'll catch a lot more flies with honey than you will knackers
with glue traps. But yes, that happened to me, or that happened. Yeah, well, it didn't even happen to me. I was just sitting there watching it. Saying nothing.
Yeah, we should find a way as a country, because we know that everyone's going to be drinking from 16 onwards.
Mm-hmm.
To do it like Germany, when you can just figure out a way to let people have like 2 or 3 beers and then go like, right, get off the streets, go home.
Yeah.
Go home. But yeah, just a waste of their time. You know, like that's the thing. That some copper was there for fucking, probably wasting a good hour of their time or their shift.
Yeah. Well, you see them put up, like I've seen them, they just get so much abuse, in fairness to them. on the streets.
Oh no, yeah.
It's the time, but I've never seen them.
Well,
they're just so
in certain parts, like in Dublin or in rougher parts of like towns around Ireland, fair enough. But like I feel like if you're in like if you're a village guard or something, I suppose young lads are still going to be dicks, but like I'd say it's not too bad. I'd say a lot of the time, like most people, like I don't ever say anything to a guard because he's a guard. Do you know? Same as I imagine you're not out there looking for guards and just like yelling at them when you're drunk.
No. So in small towns and villages, you wouldn't dare because you'll be the talk of the town.
Oh, of course. Or you have to see him. You just have to see the guard in the pub, and it's just going to be awkward.
Yeah, exactly. Or you know the guard's kids or whatever. But
but that's also the thing. You don't need to yell at the guard in a small town because you know that you can just wait until they're off duty and then just see him at a football game or at like a bar or whatever, and then just like, abuse him, just say whatever you want to him. Then that's legal. That's not legal.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone knows.
I'm guessing. I've never even looked into. I assume it's legal. How could it not be?
How could it not be? He's a civilian at that point. You can give him whatever abuse. Who's he going to call? The guards. But so that was the crack. Yeah, I don't know how much abuse they should take before they actually like arrest someone. I saw them. There was like this is a couple of weeks ago. There was like a 17-year-old girl, maybe 16-year-old girl, just screaming at some guard for about 3 minutes straight that I saw, and eventually they arrested her. I was like, but like I saw.
Sorry, I shouldn't allow that. I thought that was just going to be like, oh no, you have to put up with it just 3 minutes and then it diffuses. So 3 minutes and then eventually it's like, no, we actually we're going to have to arrest you.
It was like, because I don't know, I don't want to say half days it was, but I felt like they did because it was like. It was Temple Bar at about midnight or 12:30, and it was packed, and it was like prison rules at that stage. It was getting to the stage where they're like, if we don't do this, like all these other teenagers are seeing us just get dogs abuse from this girl. If we don't do something here, anything could kick off. But like earlier on that night, I saw it was like a fucking Scooby-Doo routine. I saw 10 teenagers like walk down a sort of cul-de-sac, and a guard go past, following them on a bike. And then a second later, the guard went back the other way on the bike, and the teenagers were like chasing after him. It was just, I just saw them go out, like he sort of chased them out of sight, and then they were like, wait, there's 10 of us, and you're just some guy on a bike, and chased them back the other way.
Fuck.
But yeah.
Jesus. Dublin seems like it's going mad.
Sure, listen. Yes, it is.
Isn't it always?
Isn't it always? I think. Yeah.
Whereas I've been looking at Kilkenny as like buying a place down there.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, you sure you've been down for the cat laughs?
Jesus, I have.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Dundalkish sized town and like a Dundalkish distance from Dublin, but it's not. It's not Dundalk. It's all cobblestoned and lovely.
Yeah. Whatever, man. It doesn't have a load of bike lanes.
Don't need them. It's a walking city.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I suppose it is a city. Yeah. Well, good for you.
We have shout outs to give, Kevin.
We do. Yes.
We'll do these quick. Yeah. I'm gonna have a go off of pronounce. Is it Reem Al Rabia?
That's what I would have went with. Yes. Yeah.
You would have went with saying both names slightly different.
Exactly.
Just to kind of cover all bases. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We can't be annoyed at that, Reem. Although we did try and figure out how to pronounce the second name. We never thought about the first name. Could be Rem.
Good point. Well, it's too late now. So you sent us in a lovely message.
Yeah. Reem said he was going to come visit Roberta's in Clara Head. So good luck with that, Reem. But
if anyone is around and goes into Roberta's, tell them that the reason they're there is because they heard it on Shite Talk, and then they can go find us and get on to us. Because when I'm home, we're going to try
definitely.
every
we're
single
going to
thing
cycle in there. Yes, yeah.
And then Kevin, why are you trying to stop me from getting free Tato?
We just talked about this. I did respond to that message. You just can't see it because you don't know how to work the internet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you don't, because you don't know how to read Patreon.
Yeah, I logged in for the first time this week.
Yeah,
it was a big moment.
It was exciting.
But I can see some of the comments that come through the email, because we get like and that's how I keep up to date with some bits. So I get like bits and pieces.
It's
kind of fun. It's like a video game. I'm piecing it together. It's like it's a solve all mystery.
Mm-hmm. Like it's one of those famous video games where you piece together mysteries.
But yeah, Sean Hurley offered. Well, firstly, during the Tato episode when we were talking about the cigar spot,
James Fox's? Yeah, Fox's anyway.
Yeah, about that. He'd said that he was sat out talking off an old stogie.
Yeah, no, that was he was smoking a cigar from Fox's, but that was some coincidence.
But he then responded after that and said that he might have extra Tato.
Yeah,
if that's true, and if he still has them, because Kevin didn't tell me about this, and that's the thing. Whatever about responding, you could have.
No, I told him keep your hands in your pockets, Sean. You give those Tatos to the children. That's what Jason would really want. But we also had a nice message from Pete Quinn on the Buy Me a Coffee, where he was saying, "Great podcast, lads. Keeping the Irish farm workers in Melbourne entertained when they're not shuttering, and sometimes when they are." Now, I don't know what a farm worker is or shuttering, because I'm not a real man.
Farm. I guess it meant farm.
I looked it up, and I think it's some sort of manual labour thing. But listen.
Oh, we're soft-handed dandies.
We're soft-handed city boys who aren't actually from any city. But fair play to you, lads. Thanks. Cheers for the support.
And thank you for all the people who have been subscribing to the Patreon or donating on the Buy Me a Coffee and listening to the behind the paywall content. And that we've been releasing episodes early on that. And then this. Now, you told me off air that the second part of this episode is going to be on Patreon, but I told you throughout the recording that there is no second part to this episode. There's a standalone. Okay,
yes, a standalone episode, unrelated to this podcast, is also coming out this week behind the Patreon.
Yeah, that should be out today, hopefully, and if it's not there, it'll be definitely tomorrow.
Yes, yeah, but. You're right, actually. What I'm talking about is not a part 2 to anything. It's an unrelated, another very good episode. Fun. It's related in that they're both quality content. So if you want to listen to that, subscribe to the Patreon. You can subscribe, just sign up for a month. Throw in a $5, get your stuff and run away. Or, stick around, send us some funds for a while. Whatever.
We're gonna do more. We're gonna do at least one episode per month on the Patreon that behind the paywall. So that's something to keep you enticed.
Yes, yeah, but that's probably it, is it?
I think so. And then in September we're going to do Kevin Larney turning 30. We're going to do a history of Kevin Larney, and I'm going to interview Kevin. And he's laughing now because he's like, I don't know if Jason's serious about following through on this, but I'm 100% serious. But yeah, the life and times of Kevin Larney.
Yeah, have you read my Wikipedia page? Sorry, have you written my Wikipedia page? Yeah.
No. That's I've wrote one for Calvin Larney.
Oh yes, yeah.
But that'll all be discussed
that
on that episode.
Yeah. So that time I fucked up my life.
Yeah, that'll be something for September.
Yeah. And we have there's a Friday the 13th next month, and we recorded a Friday the 13th episode a couple of months ago. We'll put that out in the Patreon next month as well.
But yeah, other than that, same old crack. Thank you everyone who's listening. If you can't afford to subscribe to the Patreon or anything, you can just tell people about listening to the podcast, etc. All the good stuff. And here's the first part. So here's a standalone episode of the. See you later on the Patreon episode if whoever's there. Trafford, good luck.
Now you're in for a story. Old tales of lore, all in search of a glory. The history and mystery of lads, lasses, and all. Discoveries and voyages, the rise and the fall. Follow me now as we go back in time. We trace the steps of Irish lineage to find Joseph from Carlo and Kevin the dog, guide you through the ways of Shining.
Thomas D'Arcy Etienne Grace Hughes Magee was born in Carlingford, Louth, on the 13th of April, 1825. Kevin, do you know where Louth is?
Yeah, I think I know this guy. I was looking at his statue a while ago.
He does. He has a statue there.
He does.
But I will say, he has a very long name. So from now on, he will just be known as D'Arcy or D'Arcy Magee. or just for my own enjoyment, D'Arcy Magee and Little People.
Fair enough. Yeah. What's his full name again?
It is Thomas D'Arcy Etienne Grace Hughes Magee.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on his statue they only have like half of that. But
actually, there it just says a load of Magee.
Yeah, they I think Asher. I'll let you tell the story, but I think when I saw that statue,
will you, Kev? Will you now?
Yeah.
After I've spent the week researching it.
After all the effort you've put in, I think it's one of those cases that like
you don't just want to have a pot shot there. I think one time I was near his statue. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just fucking go on, have a shot in the dark. Why not? Fuck it, I'll listen to you. No, go on. You go on, take it away.
I've read this guy's story, but am I right in saying that he's because the statue is just like, what a great man, local hero heads to Canada and becomes man, but it lays out all the dastardly stuff he might have done when he was there.
Well, he's not the worst. We will have a conversation at the end, but but he's not one of these like, Irish people had slaves too kind of guys. He's not that. He's very much so the opposite of that. He's not. Don't worry about that.
Yes, I'm all over it.
Okay, so now
anyway, I love Carlingford, Joe Biden's hometown.
There you go. But is he?
It's the other one that people don't talk about.
Obama.
No, he because
I'm pretty sure people talk about Obama a lot.
Obama's from Carlingford.
Irish people tend to not really mention Ford. No one ever mentions the Ford administration.
No,
but it's like we definitely talk about like Reaganomics and obviously Clinton and the Bush, all the Bushes.
And Carter. He never did anything.
No,
history's greatest monster.
Jimmied his way in there. But now I'll tell you this: Thomas D'Arcy. D'Arcy. That's it.
Just D'Arcy.
I'm going with D'Arcy, right?
Yeah.
Now, D'Arcy's ma was the daughter of a lad who sold books in Dublin.
Wow. So D'Arcy's grandfather, a bookseller.
Yeah, and now that was passed down. Not the books, but the reading ability and the avidness in which he would do that activity. He was a smart lad and chap, is what I'm saying, as a child, Kevin.
Yes.
Now, his ma was also big on Irish history and mythology and the crack. Now, they moved to Wexford at the age of 8. It wasn't collectively, it was just D'Arcy was 8 when they moved.
Right.
Now, I assume being 8 years of age at the time, 1833, that moving to Wexford, D'Arcy had to take over the mantle of Mayor of Wexford.
I would imagine so. I'd imagine he was probably happy enough as they left Carlingford, started down the... What year, what time year, or what years is this?
This is 1833.
Yeah, so he's walking down the 1833 equivalent of the M50. They start getting closer to Dublin. He's like, I can't wait to meet all my new Dublin mates. Finally moving up to the big city. And then they just keep walking, right? Keep stepping past it, and his heart sinks as he goes past. Not even Wicklow, Jason. Yeah, right on down there to fucking Strawberry County.
And it's back in the day as well, so there's no like ring road or bypass or anything. He used to walk through Dublin and see everything, and then just keep going.
But what is the point of moving from Carlingford to Wexford? It's the same place.
Well, they went for a reason, Kevin.
Oh yeah,
his dad had got a job working for the Coast Guard. Now,
there's coast in Carlingford that needs garden, more so than Wexford.
No, loads. No, think about that, Kevin. Too soon. There's so many Wexford fishermen that die. That's like one of the main places in Ireland.
I was more thinking
we shouldn't even laugh about this, but for sure, if you're going to be like, where do fishermen in Ireland die? It's like, it's Wexford and Donegal.
Yes. No, I was thinking of the other job, because obviously modern day Carlingford is right across the loch from Northern Ireland, and would have been Smuggling Central. I forgot that people drown, Jason. I was more thinking like his job would be to stop people smuggling over Carlingford Lock, and he traded that in for a cushy job down in Wexford, making sure the French didn't invade Cork. Now, by and large, just letting them invade.
Well, there's no account that I read that said he was a Coast Guard. It says that he got a job with the Coast Guard.
Oh, right.
So
and he's just Coast Guard adjacent.
No, I wasn't working for them. But I'm just saying, I don't want. It's a history podcast. I don't want to be the one to say he was a Coast Guard.
Yeah.
There's no proof.
No proof.
Right? He could, for all I know, he could be a janitor.
Yeah, in the Coast Guard.
Yes. But it was far from book learning that D'Arcy was reared while down in Wexford, as he attended hedge schools during his formative years in the county of the Yellowbellies.
Yes.
Now, again, I assume by attend they meant taught the class.
Of course, he's like 8 at this stage. He may as well be teaching the class.
Well,
he knows how to read.
He's probably giving the teacher tips.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, but just one of those like, hey, look, just stay 2 lessons ahead of the class. 2 is that the one after? Okay, maybe you just stay 1 lesson ahead of the class. Class
1
is that the one after? Okay, I'll take over from here. That's fine. You sit down, John. Well, that's actually not fair, because he had a teacher there. Big shout out to Michael Donnelly, King of the Hedges. Not to be mistaken.
Good man, Donnelly.
Yeah, not to be mistaken with King of the Benson and Hedges, which was my old geography teacher. Shout out to Jakes Murphy. Anyway, Donnelly taught him all about the English.
He loves Benton and Hedges. He eats chicken and wedges. It's Donnelly.
Donnelly taught him all about the English oppression of Ireland, all the failed rebellions and such, and the general shite-hawkery of the English.
Of course. I mean, that's really what I imagine most English or most schools taught in those days. And Lesson 1, bastards.
What do you mean those days?
I feel like there's more of an effort in this day and age.
No.
Yeah, I think they soften it down. Sometimes you'll get history teachers that come in and like...
It could be in the curriculum, but the people who are teaching it are all just like recently graduated 24-year-olds who just like came out of St. Pat's in Dublin singing rebel songs after like 6 pints of Guinness.
Yeah.
Like they've just come from that culture. Everyone's there going like, "Come out, ye black and tans, Irish, go on." Like that's what it is. So I forgot to say there. Shortly after moving to Wexford, like in the same year, basically, his mad dies.
Oh shit!
Now his father leaves at 7 years to remarry, so this brings us to 1840.
I wonder if she knew she was dying and she just like migrated south like a bird to as a final resting place.
I do have
because this whole story about his dad has a job around the Coast Guard or whatever. I'm not buying it.
They're all birds.
They're all birds.
I do have a friend that we call the Goose that moved to Spain, and we say he flew south for the winter, but he never came back. So
it's probably because you abused him so much.
Probably, or else he has a terrible sense of direction. He's in Seattle now, actually.
That's one lost goose.
But 7 years he leaves it, which I feel is the perfect amount of time.
Yeah, that's respectful.
Yeah, your wife dies, you leave it 7 years. Anyone says anything, you think you're moving on too quick. Hey, technically, I'm a new person. Every cell in my body has been replaced.
And then, as long as he hasn't married a 14-year-old after this,
including all those ones that cared about that crazy dead wife bitch of mine.
If I'll be honest with you, they were the first to go.
But yeah, no. What happens often with? Don't think of what you're looking up on your Google Incognito when I ask this. Say, what often happens between a younger man and his stepmother?
they're at odds with each other.
Yes,
Yes. They
but
don't
I
get on
could
well.
see you really racking your brain for that. There, it was
Yeah,
a while. You were like, "Don't mention it, don't say it."
You would have get it. I was imagining some judge in the background being like, "Leading the witness, Your Honor, please." Now, it's not what you think, okay? Just what happens.
In my defense, he said the
It's like
word
we're on
stepmother,
Pointless, and
so
you're
we
trying
all
to-
knew what he was talking about. It's like Family Feuds. Like, okay, you've got
Yeah,
5 attempts. What's the most common word for stepmother? You're like, anal. Is it anal?
No, I thought I was going the opposite. It's like Pointless, and we're trying to get the the least likely answer. But you're
Okay,
coaxing me along, yeah.
not having sex with her, not trying to have
Yeah.
sex with her. Is that say, oh, brrr, and we've got a fucking point.
Oh, 0 answers. Full Pointless.
Literally nobody thought that. Even the women who had nothing to do with the sexual encounter were like, he's probably going to try and have sex with her.
Yeah. So it's the old style son stepmother relationship where they just don't get on.
Yeah. And also, now I think,
But at this stage, well, he must be like what, 15, 16?
yeah,
He should be out. I wouldn't be having that either.
around he's 15. You're right. You're dead right. Good mate, keeping up with the dates, Kev.
Yeah, not so bad.
But he, I should also your one's name Margaret D. Or
Right.
O.D. I forget if I've deleted that now. It's
You just saw D and you're like, this fits.
no. Do you know what it actually might be? I've read it. I was like, it might be D, which doesn't seem like an Irish name. It seems like it would be O.D. But then
Yeah.
also it could just be D. And I'm remembering a crush I had on a girl when I was like a teenager. It was like her name was O.D. And I was like, oh yeah, that's for sure. That's just Grace O.D.
That's what it is.
But yeah.
Well, maybe Thomas's second name was D'Arcy, and then after he remarried this woman, it became D'Arcy. And he's like, fair enough, actually. I don't like it, but to be honest, D'Arcy is much better than Arcy, so I'm in.
Nothing's better than Arcy.
Yeah, that's a great name. Thomas D'Arcy?
Yeah, but also D'Arcy Magee.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tom D'Arcy Magee.
but now it's 2 years after being 15 for Thomas, or D'Arcy, I should say.
Right.
Because he's 17 now. It's 1842, and he leaves Ireland from what?
Oh, a great year.
1842?
Yeah, great year to be leaving Ireland.
Yes. Well, no, we'll get into that. There's going to be a lot of questions phrased as rhetorical questions that I expect you to answer.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, he sets sail for America on board the good ship Leo, the Lion, like the Lion. But this isn't like the Life of Pi. It's not.
No.
It's not that kind of a voyage. This is a good one. It is. I haven't even seen the film, but I
haven't seen it either.
I know it's stupid. I know
Yeah.
it's feckin' stupid.
Well, this is a complete tangent now, but I've been watching. YouTube has decided to start showing me loads and loads of old Soprano clips, and Agent Harris, you know, the FBI agent, he's the spitting image of Leo Varadkar. It's uncanny.
I'd have to go back and look, but I'm going to take your word.
Yeah, listen, take my word for it. Move on with the story, but anyone listening, just trust me on
that. I had a big paragraph here, but then before I started reading it, I was like, I don't like to write things in advance and then read them out. So
sure,
I'm just not going to do that. And and instead of all of that, I'm going to say he wrote some poetry while he was on the ship. And that came in handy when he landed in Boston, because he got a job working for the Boston Pilot, which claims he was an assistant editor there. It was a publication in the Archdiocese of Boston. For listeners who don't know, I've mentioned it on the podcast before. I'm from the Archdiocese of Kildare and Loughlin.
Yeah,
for
the one that got away.
An entire county and my village, because we're special.
Yeah. Now, what was the Boston Pilot? What was a pilot?
Just I don't know, but I wouldn't like to meet them in the community games. Loughlin would have no chance.
Yeah, but no, I mean, what was a pilot back in the 1840s? Did you pilot a boat?
I don't know. I've always assumed
Yeah.
it was one of those things RD would eventually ask us to do and then would fail.
Of course, yes. That sort of a pilot.
Now, the Boston Pilot, Kevin, it claims to be the oldest American Catholic newspaper, going since September 5th, 1829. So, in fairness, that's a good claim. Probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very specific claim.
It is, yeah. It was, as the claim went on, I mean, yeah, to be honest, I'd say the Americans probably only started letting Catholics write around the 1820s.
Well,
before then, I'd imagine there was a lot of printing presses smashed up by...
it did say that the first 12 editions were pop-up, but...
Right.
That was expected, and after that, it was
of course.
It was a lot of drawings marked with X's.
Okay, yeah.
Remember when people used to sign? That was their signature, right? That could have never actually been a way for people to sign. You just learn how to. If you can throw a noose around the neck of a cow, or what do they call it? A lasso. But like if you can do that. Like, for sure, you can learn how to just, like, make a unique scribble on a page.
Yeah, sure, yeah. But why bother? I mean, you could have learned how to write your name in Arabic, but you haven't.
Do you know what? The amount of things in life that I should have done when I've been given the opportunity, and I just have looked at it and went, this would be amazing. Anyway, better just not even try. Do you know what instead? I'll just go drink and just waste it. And then, if it doesn't work out, I can go, imagine how good that would have been if I tried.
It's the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah, the Boston Pilot was actually run by another Irishman, going by the name of Patrick Donahue, because that was his name. He was from...
That was pretty handy.
It worked out perfect for him. He was from Cavan. He'd moved over from Ireland with his family when he was 10, and then his dad remarried too after his mother died. So I wondered, did all of these similarities give him a kind of a common connection? Yeah. But also, that was just legitimately most Irish people's stories at the time. It's like, did one of your parents die? Yeah, but, so did my wife and brother and 4 of my children.
It's more like...
And half of the
Is
town.
Is one of your parents still alive? Wow, that's pretty crazy.
You got to meet one of your parents. Wow.
Interesting.
But regardless, anyway, it was a good time for D'Arcy Magee. He mainly wrote about Ireland's need for freedom. He was a big fan of Daniel O'Connell's ideas at the time, wrote about them a lot. And in 1844, I don't think he's 20 yet, he's getting close to it, but he becomes the editor, the whole hog, the big boss man, boss hog, if you would.
I will.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. He got his Confederate flag up.
Actually, I see enough of those here. That's not. I don't know why I even mentioned that. Actually, that's exactly why I mentioned it, because I see them all of the time.
That's what it's getting into you.
No, not. I wouldn't say that. I would say like I notice them more. I wouldn't say I agree with it in any way. I just love Cork GAA, but he doesn't stay long in that job as editor, because in 1845 he returns home and joins the Young Irelanders movement. I assume. I assume he's joining that because it said that Daniel O'Connell had taken notice of his works over there in Boston. So they were probably in contact, and also that's definitely that time period's version of like Googling or searching your own name on Twitter. I've been like, oh, what are they saying about me over there in Boston? Get the papers in. Well, if it's going to be 3 weeks, I said get them in.
I have 16 interns reading every bit of news that comes out of Boston looking for my name. But also, this is another modern equivalent of like you being reluctant to return to Ireland, which is in the middle of a pandemic because you're doing well over there in Texas.
What do you mean reluctant?
Well, but as in, if they sent a letter...
Reluctant would be like, kind of, but maybe. Kevin, I would kill you right now if it meant I could spend another 2 months in Texas.
There you go. You're fighting against it, but... If like Daniel O'Connell sent a letter out to D'Arcy and was like, do you want to come back and do a wee bit of work for the boys back home? Like, in theory, I love the old country, but 1845, it's not a great year to be going back home.
Jesus, Daniel, that sounds like a perfect last resort. I'm so glad that you've offered me my last possible port of
Now,
call.
what it seems like you're doing is just constantly writing about Ireland and using your connections to the country to bolster your own career in America, talking about how much you love the place and how sick of you are of British oppression. But do you want to come back and live here in the middle of a famine? Not necessarily.
Well,
You're doing more good from afar.
now, Kevin, please, we're not at famine level yet. We're not at famine
No, it's
yet.
yet.
I mean, we're going to get there very, very soon.
Is 1845 not the first
Yes,
year?
but like-
It's not like the big one.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't want to be remembered about a man who's gone to America, done okay for himself, and is forced to move home to Ireland. I say forced. If Andy O'Connell offers you a job, you kind of have to go back. But, you know, we're about to go through an economic famine, and I'm heading back to that now, and all I want to do is stay here and have a nice fun time. But that's not allowed to me. So...
Back into the mud, country boy.
Well, Dublin. I mean, you know...
Nah, sure.
I'm sure they've paved the streets since I've left. But, hey, though, upon returning home, Magee took up a job at the Freeman's Journal, which was linked to O'Connell's Repeal Association Party.
Yes.
I miss when parties used to call themselves after just the one thing they cared about.
Yeah, sure. Well, what about People Before Profit? Or, well, not the Labour Party, or the Green Party, or the People Before Profit.
But I meant
Never mind.
I meant more so because it's just called Repeal Association. Like
sure. Yeah,
association just means you're adding words to fill up like space on a planet.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything. So you're
No.
basically what you're saying is repeal. It would be the equivalent of saying like housing association. What do you want to do? Just fucking houses, lads. Just houses.
Forget about the association. Focus on the houses.
Yes, and what are your plans afterwards? No, literally, as soon as we have enough houses, we're out. We'll just leave.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say give it about 6 months.
Yeah, we'll see.
But so you're saying he's writing for the Freeman's Journal.
Yeah,
What's the other big
The Nation.
The Nation?
Because that's it's coming up next.
Ah, perfect. Because
Yeah, Kevin's ruining my story again, people. He's trying to pit the fans
I'm like
against
Thomas
me.
D'Arcy. I'm like Thomas D'Arcy showing up at 8 years old to the school, trying to like coax the teacher into giving the lessons that he wants to give. Well, no, because I've been editing the James Mangan episode this week, and we made a joke in that one about how everyone that we talk about from this time period worked at The Nation.
Yes.
So you're going to tell me D'Arcy wrote for it as well?
Well, my next line is exactly... He's not at the Freeman's Journal for long. So
Yeah,
fuck you, Kevin Larney.
yeah.
I can learn things you don't know. You don't know me. You don't know what I've done to get here. But he's not at the Freeman's Journal for the Freemasons Journal.
The Freemasons Journal.
He's not at the Stonecutters Journal for long, as he begins to clash with the publication's higher ups. By this time, he's growing a little frustrated with their whole legislative approach towards Irish emancipation. So he resigns, and he now takes up the role as editor of The Nation. Would you believe,
Yes, I would believe.
Kev? Now, also, Kev, what happened around 1845 in Ireland? That translates into Irish as on Gorta Moor.
The potato crop failed, and all of the food that was in the country was exported out through the ports over to England to feed people there.
Yes.
And then a lot of Irish people starved.
I'd have settled for the famine, and we could have quickly moved on and not sullied the whole tone of the podcast, Kev. This is meant to be a comedy.
Sure.
Thing, you know, that's what the famine is. We should have a good famine sitcom. I want to keep it nice and light-hearted.
What happened to that famine sitcom they were trying to make?
It got cancelled very quickly. I wanted to see it. I was like, feckin' have a go.
Yeah.
Like, why not? It's been long enough. It's definitely been long enough.
Yeah. Well, sure, yeah. If we can make fun of the Titanic in that comedy that James Cameron made, surely we can make fun of the famine by now.
Yeah, but if what was that BBC, or what was the English TV show about, like, when they're hiding from the Nazis, the comedy with the French.
Oh, yeah. All right, no.
Yeah, Schindler's List. Now,
Yeah.
while
I can't remember the name of the one you were teeing me up for.
I think maybe
Hello, hello.
Hello.
That was it, yes.
Now, while back in Ireland, he marries a woman by the name of Mary Theresa Caffrey. They have a bunch of kids, 6 or so, I believe. Although
that's a bunch. Yeah.
Well, it isn't bananas, not children.
Of course.
But these ones at least are fair trade. But although now only two of them outlived D'Arcy, because the time.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago. You didn't exactly have a leg up. Born in 1840s Ireland.
You'd be lucky if you had a leg.
Yeah, that's true.
Now he writes there still about Irish republicanism or nationalism and that opposes the church. A man ahead of his time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now the events of the past few years have got him all annoyed, hot and bothered, and he's adamant Ireland needs to be set free. So he heads over to Scotland, trying to find a few people there who also don't like this whole England are ruling us like real dicks kind of a thing.
Okay.
But as we all know about Scotland since the times of William Wallace, they just don't want independence. So
no, they had their chance. They've had several chances.
Yeah, they don't want it. So I'm never listening to that argument again.
They want this. I think it's the same way England wanted to leave the EU. They just want to talk about it forever, but not actually do it. Scotland for generations has just been like that guy in a fight who has someone like hold him back. Like, hold me back, hold me. No, really, hold me back. Hold on, fucking God, take you out.
Yeah, because have you been there? It runs
don't
very
let me
well.
anywhere near him.
Like the whole country's pretty grand there.
Yeah.
Anytime we
it's very nice.
Yeah, whereas here we're like we still don't have escalators in most places. It's like, how do you get to the second floor of things? Steps. No, we should have went along with the Unionists. If we could take it all back for escalators, but
trade it all.
So as expected by me, anyway. This whole trying to get people on his side didn't go very well.
No.
So instead he heads home and tries to stir up a bit of a groundswell in the northeast of Ireland. But again, to
back in
no
his
avail.
home turf. Remember me? I left here when I was 7. Who wants to overthrow the government?
But it's not where he's originally from. It's very different. Like he's further north.
Okay.
So I'm guessing. I'm guessing Antrim. I'm guessing it's in the north. Although I did not look into that at all. As soon as I said north, as soon as I saw northeast, I was like, Antrim it is.
Close enough.
Now, not one to take obvious hints or to assess any of the information in front of him, he takes part in the failed rebellion of 1848. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure exactly in what role, but in the aftermath of its failure, he flees to America. Which we haven't had a good fleeing in a while.
No, but I mean, there was many a man fleeing from Ireland in 1848 back to the States.
Disguised as a?
Oh, was he disguised as a woman?
Oh no! What's the other one? Actually, disguises back then are very much so just what lads do now for fun. It's like I dress well, maybe not anymore, but it's actually what lads used to do for mini marathons in the early 2000s. Is I'm either dressing up as a woman or I'm dressing up as a priest. You running a mini marathon or are you fleeing to America?
I thought you were going to say in blackface. I was like, I don't know how far he could have got across the Atlantic.
No one ran the mini marathon this film.
Yeah, I don't want to cancel Thomas D'Arcy. So he dressed up as a priest.
Yeah, he had to escape.
Yeah, well, I mean, how thick were they though? It was just like hundreds of priests queuing up at Dublin Port to get the boat. Yeah, there's a conference.
Think about what you're saying.
Well, but like, surely everyone was trying to escape as a priest. All just tapping the old collar. Yeah,
and they all had the same cover. Like, well, there was a local child in Wexford saying some crazy shit, so I have to go over to America for some re-education training.
You know yourself.
It's time to learn how not to get caught again.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, he had a warrant out for his arrest, so what with all of his acts of high treason.
Of course.
Again, haven't had some good treason in a while. He escaped through Tremone Bay in Donegal. So he lands in New York because he gets there. No, not a bother on him. And when he's there, as soon as you get there, you're good to go. Like there's no, it's back in the day, so no one gives a shite. So he sets up The Nation, the American version of the Irish paper, The Nation.
Pretty clever.
Under his own name, and
well, actually,
there's no one's
slightly confusing because if someone's buying it in America, they're like, "Oh, great, a newspaper about America." No, not that nation.
No,
which nation?
I'm sure they know the difference between the two because one of them would be written in words, and then he also set up the Boston Celt.
Okay,
now
he started the Boston Celtics.
Yes,
that's pretty big.
I wish I remembered what we were talking about birds earlier on. I would have made a Larry Bird reference, but I'm not that intelligent.
You didn't piece all this together.
Now, like that's one of the more ballsy Irish man abroad. You're saying your name. You're a wanted criminal.
Yeah.
In the eyes of the English, who are a very important power at the time, and you're over there setting up the same paper that you used to work for in Ireland under your name in America. In the biggest city there.
But I'm pretty sure...
And it's only about... You're only talking about how great Catholics are. And then, like, that's your entire modus operandi.
But I'm pretty sure, like, 1848, there was, like, big revolutions in France and the Germanic... Like, all over Europe, people were in revolt. I'd say half of fucking Europe had showed up on the shores of America, and they were all there with, like, El Nation. That's it. You probably couldn't walk through New York City for just like lads talking about Das Nation and hustling on the side of the streets to hand out their pamphlet about why their country is truly the most oppressed and beautiful land.
But truly Ireland was.
Oh, truly Ireland was. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Especially the West,
of course.
I still think it's a very ballsy move from a man on their own.
No, it is. It's pretty. Yeah, it's respectable to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's like your man who remember that TV show. Was it Irish Abroad or whatever, like that thing RT did a very stupid move. It's a stupid move from RT, a more stupid move from the people who went on the show being illegal immigrants in America. Now they pixelated their faces, but there was one fella who was like, look, I've been over here now in Boston 18 years. I moved over here when I was 18. I've set up a business here. I've been here as long as I have been in Ireland. I consider myself just as American as I do Irish. And 2 weeks later, he was deported back to Ireland. Because they were like, is it this building company? Is it this one right here? Because we can tell from all the video that that's exactly where it's based. Yes, you have to go home now. And then he was like, I shouldn't have went on national television.
Yeah, sure. But the production was run by Irish Community Efforts. ICE, the bastards.
But yeah, over there he becomes a big wig, being a very important newspaper and politics man, making a name and face for himself among the Irish Americans, at least, obviously of which there's many.
Of course,
so he's
in Boston,
Irish man done good. Well, New York just has a paper called Boston, whatever. Used to live in Boston, but Irish man done good. Now, Patrick J. Whelan was born in County Galway, 1840.
Yeah.
He was a tailor's apprentice, which he started that at the age of 14. And his older brother, John Whelan, was implicated in the arson attack on a Garda station in Tala. I say implicated, I mean...
suspect.
He burned it down and he was charged with being a Fenian. So...
fair enough.
Yeah, it was a definitive.
Some things are timeless, though. Burning down a Garda station in Tallaght, that could be 1848 or 2 weeks ago.
But Patrick probably thought between Ireland being fairly shite employment-wise and, living standards-wise at the time, and him being the brother of a lad who tried to kill, a bunch of government employees, probably best to leave.
Yeah, sure.
So he heads over, takes his tailor skills to England, goes up and down the country there, making a bit of coin, and after a couple of years, heads over to America.
Okay.
Yeah. Fancy boy.
Is he going to team up with...
Whoa. We've been through this now already for this. just because I've started talking about this guy that does not mean anything to do with this episode. You're jumping ahead of the cart.
Yeah.
Horse
okay.
before the etc.
Yeah.
Right?
I like how you got that metaphor about saying things in the wrong order. It's like putting the horse before the cart.
I'm a poet. I just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
So he does the same thing when he gets to America, and he's traveling all around there, wandering. He's a bit of a wanderer, a nomad, a vagabond, if you will. And I know you.
I will.
But so he's plying his trade as a tailor. Eventually, he heads up north to Canada. That's 1865. He ended up in Quebec City working as a tailor. When all of a sudden he thought, you know what, I should join the army.
Yeah.
So
I hate tailing.
Yeah, I have a job, but I should just enlist because there's the volunteer cavalry. He must have thought their uniforms were to die for.
Yeah,
he's like, I should join this. What also have we covered that happened in Canada in 1865 in regard to the Irish, Kevin?
Yeah, was this the time of the Fenian revolutions? Or sorry, when they tried to invade Canada?
Yeah, so while in the volunteers, Patrick was arrested, and it said that many of his actions led to a military review as to whether his allegiances actually lay with the Irish Fenians.
Well, I mean, who's to say where his allegiances lie? It's clear that this man from Galway would naturally side with... I mean, who's in charge of Quebec at the time? The French cavalry?
Oh, I don't even know, but I just love the idea that he's like, I'll join. For sure, I'll join. No, I'll take it seriously. I'll definitely take it. What is he doing that they're like, what is it? A lot of his actions led people to believe that he might have sympathies or allegiances with the other side. What are those actions? It was about the time he started shooting the captains in the head when they were sleeping. I was like, after 4, it just can't be a mistake.
3, that's on me. 4 or more, let's review.
But as is the way with Canadians, too nice. So they went to the trial and they found nothing, so they set him free. Obviously, Canadians are very nice anyway, naturally. Good-hearted folk, goodwill. But also, it's only 1865, so they hadn't invented lying yet.
It wouldn't be until 1872 when Roger the Conman O'Griftoncy showed up on the borders of Ontario and took the place for all it was worth.
And even then, it was only popular in smaller territories. It wasn't widespread until the 1942.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened then, but I'm sure something there were dastardly Canadians.
Probably, yeah.
I don't have a bad word to say about Canadians, apart from French Canadians, but I don't have a bad word to say about regular Canadians.
Like Jesse.
Actually, Montreal, that's where our friend Jesse James is from.
Yeah.
So Patrick actually bounces around then between Buffalo, Hamilton, Montreal. They're very close to each other.
Yes.
It's all right there in the border.
Yeah.
Buffalo, New York, Hamilton, Canada, Montreal. So all the border regions before eventually
Montreal's
he sets up
not
shop.
that close to the rest of them, but yeah.
It's probably fine. I looked at it on a map. It was like the length of my finger.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And I have a small hand. Dainty.
You have to take that into account.
Yeah. It's less than scale. So, but anyway, he's bouncing around there before he sets up shop in Ottawa in 1867. Also, I had to learn how to spell Ottawa to make this podcast.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because I misspelled it so many times and saw the red line underneath it that I was like, right, it's going to be my new restaurant. I'm just going to have to fucking knuckle down and get this.
I also have difficulty with restaurant.
Yeah, I always start with the dessert and people think I'm mad.
Yeah. Ottawa is one of those weird capitals where it shouldn't be. It's the capital of Canada, but only because. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they couldn't decide between any of the real cities: Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto. They're like, let's just make it Ottawa.
Much like how Austin is the political capital of Texas.
Sure,
like,
yes.
Not Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or any of the major cities.
No.
Now it's a big city, but back then when it wasn't,
yeah,
like in no way. It was very much so just an annoyance.
Well,
when your capital is that far away from all the major cities, your government's fucked.
Yeah,
because what they're doing is trying to separate themselves from the proletariat.
They're just trying to hide. Yeah, you want to complain? How about you drive for 17 hours from Vancouver and tell us how you feel? Yeah. It's a different fucking time zone.
there's no gas stations there along the way as well, actually. Sorry about that.
I don't know what
Oh,
happened.
you don't have a private helicopter? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he's in... But I was going to say there that when Patrick's in Ottawa, he settles down after that year of just kind of going around those little cities. He
Those
falls
wee cities.
for those wee cities.
Like New York.
Well, it's Buffalo. It's not New York.
Ah, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
But he falls for a lovely woman who's 30 years older than him.
Yes.
Has a bunch of money.
Yes.
Love.
Good
Kev.
man, Pat.
Love at the first sight of an elderly rich woman.
Yes. Love at the first sight of her bank account.
Now he had a tailoring business in town.
Oh,
he had a rich wife.
He's back to the basics.
He's full, but now he's a whole business. He's not traveling. He's not a traveling tailor. He's set up the whole kit and caboodle. He's a tailoring business in town. He has a rich wife who'd probably die soon, given the times. He was the assistant marshal of the Ottawa St. Patrick's Day Parade in 1868. What more could a man want in life?
You're pretty much
in that
set.
sense, he was much like Thomas D'Arcy Magee.
Oh. Ah, you told me these stories weren't related.
Oh, you haven't what?
They're not related.
They're not related.
Okay.
Have I said anything about...
No, you just said they're similar.
Yeah, it's people. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have very different life stories. We're similar in ways.
Yeah. So these are just two men living within, I don't know, the distance between Ottawa and New York, a hop and a skip from each other around about the same time period.
Yeah.
Both from the old country. Just
Oh,
living their lives.
speaking of Darcy, did I ever tell you what became of him?
No, I can't remember what way you left it off. Or last you left it off, he was start selling the Boston Celt in New York.
Yeah, and he actually became, as a lot of what people do as they get older and successful, during the 1850s, he became less and less anti-religion and more Catholicism linked,
Okay.
as it did with Ireland and its politics, and the cause. And he found himself speaking the rhetoric of the church and the Catholic public in general. Now, there was increasing amounts of racism towards the Irish in the States at this time, and in New York, because they were coming over in droves, and America now had a few generations of people in America, so they were like immigrants. We're allowed to say it.
Just some guy standing there with his with his watch, just counting down the seconds. My family's been here for 10 years. All right, that's it. Pull the ladder up.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones at the Temple of Doom. You're just like, run, come on, quick, you're just about to get in quick before you're locked up forever. Sorry, and now you're a foreigner. Okay, you just got in. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, what's your name? Porrig? Okay, John, you've got it. What's your name?
Welcome to America, sir, home of the free. Here, anyone can make it if they try hard enough. Brrr. What was that bell? Well, that was the immigrant bell. Sorry, you dirty bastard. Just spitting his passport.
Well, did you ever hear of what
learn the customs, you dirty immigrant?
You're not far off now. The levels of what people were saying, and I was looking into it, and there's a name for the group that was doing it, and they were called the Know Nothings, which is a great name.
So sorry, wait, who was the Know Nothings?
No, you're right. Yeah, that's the people who were anti-Irish were called the Know Nothings. Which
we really showed them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know nothing.
But you'd think it would at least be like the anti-Know Nothings,
or it would be
like that would be
no, because that would imply that we were the Know Nothings, the Irish.
Yeah, but at least then it would make sense for them. If you're going to run, obviously we can make that joke, but if you're going to set up a group.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was name like what the Irish were calling them. This is something they called themselves.
They called themselves, but it was in relation to Irish people, and it's like, oh yes, people will understand. It's what we're talking about, not the actual name of the group itself. Yes, it's only in reference to the people. It's like QAnon. Have you ever noticed that like QAnon members?
Yeah.
Don't put anonymous in your group's title if almost to a person you refuse to wear masks in public. Like it's bad naming.
Yeah.
It's not good branding. But there was a big rise in know-nothingism, not my term, through the late 40s and 50s. And around this time, Magee found himself taking trips.
Jason, I'd say that movement in America never stopped.
Ho, ho, ho. Ooh, I can't say that because I still live here and we have listeners who have guns. And but around that time, Magee found himself taking trips to Canada, and he found it far more accommodating and hospitable to the Irish folk. So now he was like, shh, don't forget about that whole thing about how America should annex Canada. Shh. Also, he was very much so a proponent of America annexing Canada. But before he was like, Canada's the shit, he was like, we should just go over there and do what we want to.
Yeah. What are they even doing up there? I mean, what could they possibly use the land for? Let's just take it.
Oh, and he had some good words as well. Either by purchase, conquest, or stipulation.
Fair enough.
That's a threat. Yeah. That's like, we can give you options, or, we're just going to...
Jason, they're just going to hand us over the land because of the stipulation. It sounds like they don't want us to give us this. They don't want us to give us Ontario. Of course, they don't want it, but they don't know what they want.
Now, he sounds like he's never heard of the term hooker by crook.
Yes,
the reason I've said that is because I was wrong in last season when I said that story about Wexford and how it's not Cromwell.
Yeah,
like it is. Like, he did say it, but there's also there's John Wycliffe had it recorded on his on the score.
Yeah.
He quoted as saying, "Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you by hook or by crook." Do you not remember that? It was a big 1830s. Yeah, you got it. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you by hook or by crook.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I've never heard that.
No? Yeah.
That's great. Because I think we talked about that being wrong in one of the other episodes, and it got cut. So here you are, circling back a year later.
Yeah, I'm very willing to correct myself.
Yeah, and that's not bad. You've only had one correction in a year.
Probably more. I've just cut them out from the podcast I've edited. You haven't heard them. But you'll find very few people in life who are willing to criticize themselves as much as me.
Yes, so you're so humble.
It's my number one. It's not even humble. I just don't enjoy myself. I really need taking down a peg or two.
Oh, look at
him. But yeah, I'd been telling you about the know-nothings and the know-nothingism.
Yes.
And how...
that really sounds like a 1860s insult. Get out of here, you know-nothing bum. Go sit in a lemon.
You good for nothing, know-nothing.
Hey, take a long walk off a short bridge, sonny. Go play in traffic, scram, kazmoodle. You
were born in the wrong time.
No, because I would have been eaten alive
and
back
country.
Then.
Yeah, but the accent, you had it down.
I did, really, yeah. They'd be like, who is this weird man?
But anyway, I think I'd also told you that when he was in America, he was all on board with, we should annex Canada. And then when he was up in Canada, he was like, these feckin' Americans, this is unbelievable what they're trying to do to us.
Yeah. As he turned his coat inside out, crossing over the border. Oh, Canada.
Now, he was a big dreamer, because in 1856 he failed with a convention or a conference, rallying for the Irish to have their own colony on the western frontier of Canada.
Okay, so excellent. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you wouldn't trade it for all the suffering that Irish people went through over those generations, but it certainly has paid off in this. I don't know what you call
content for this show.
No, but I mean in modern days when like everyone's getting angry at our colonial past and pointing fingers left, right, and the center, and we can just be like, well, we never colonized anybody. We were always the victims. It's because, given half a chance, we'd be taking over bits of Canada, but just no one let us.
We tried.
Yeah, we did try. And there's so many accounts we had of like Irish people in the Spanish army or working in the British army or whatever who did their best to take over huge bits of land.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's human nature.
It is, but we could have been colonizers if only we'd been given half a chance, half a shake of the stick.
Yeah, that's what you're complaining about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We weren't given our chance to be horrible, horrible colonists.
We could have done terrible things to the native Canadian population. I think they call themselves the First Peoples now? I'm not sure, but
Nah.
we would have been the Second Peoples.
Mm.
We would have showed up to Newfoundland and been like, this is... well, look at this, Newfound land. Ignore those folks over there.
Well, I was looking, if it's on the western frontier of the place they're looking for, would that be like Vancouver? Imagine Ireland owned Vancouver.
Yes.
It'd be a different place. It wouldn't run as smoothly as it does now.
No, we probably would have sold it to Russia when we were like, just like everything else, when they sold the Gaelic rights to Sky, sell the NCT rights to some Spanish company, sell Vancouver to Russia, just clear it all out.
Now that whole endeavour trying to move the Irish people out there and get their own little spot, this thing gave him a nickname among the people.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to have a guess? Moving large people across a big continent.
Oh, Moses.
So what's the nickname?
Is he Moses D'Arcy?
No, Moses Magee.
Oh, Moses Magee. That's great.
Yeah, you really let the listeners down there with the...
Yeah, I can't believe I got the first bit and then lost the second bit. Well, it's because I knew a man called Moses Magee. He was able to... He could split a pint of Smithwick's right down the middle.
And it was 1857 that he moved to Montreal.
Yes. And so, well, like, who was he asking? So did he just show up in Canada and just start asking the government in Ottawa to give him...
he had friends there, because he would have been, when he was in New York, he was back and forth, and he was like making contacts and that, and he was kind of, he's well to do. So we don't know how the rich intermingle in their circles.
Is he well to do? So he was like on the run. He's got that paper money, I suppose.
They never came after him though, so yeah, he's just been in a successful paper for a good while.
Sure, okay.
Now, but in terms of obstacles for getting Irish people to move to Canada, there was this thing called the Orange Order.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they were actually pretty prevalent in Canada. Now, not all over Canada, but in the areas they were very staunch, shall we say. Yeah,
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, so he set up a publication called New Era.
Okay. The New Orange Order.
Like the baseball cap. But yeah, he did, one of those propaganda things where he's like, hey, we can all get along kind of thing, just like through stories. Like play down all the horrible things that happened, play up all the good stories, and you're like, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, sure.
Magee argued that the tensions in Ireland were based on political tensions, not religious, and that Canadian Protestants are sound and love the Irish.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was much of an Orange Order thing over in Canada though. Did they go out marching?
Yeah, it's seemingly, again, it's in pockets. I don't know if it's still a big thing. It probably is still a big thing. It's always a thing.
That's true, I suppose. Yeah,
people love getting dressed up for anything.
Yeah,
it could be
parades.
The Debs. It could be student races. It could be the Protestant marches on the 12th.
Yeah,
just like it's a day out.
It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I'd really like though if like Canada is such a huge, vast, open space. I would love if they managed to draw the parade route through one Catholic enclave. And
James McLean is just there.
Yeah, it just goes past McLean's house every year for some reason. Listen, this is just the way that our ancestors marched. You're zigzagging across the continent. At one point, you get a bus for 7 hours just to get outside my house. I don't know what to tell you.
Where are all these poppies coming from? Why do you all have poppies?
It's just
neither of us went with the accent. Neither of us had the confidence.
I don't even know what a Canadian, Northern Irish, Scottish Protestant would sound like.
Magee's ideas had some credence because Canada overall was fairly accepted. It was more of a melting pot than America at this time. They were like, everyone's cool.
Yeah, they hadn't discovered racism just yet.
Yeah, it was just going to be right after Lion. But in response to all of Magee's claims about how the Protestants could get along with the Catholics and how they would be far more accepting, how great Canada was, everybody said that he was wrong and that people weren't all too fond of the Irish at all. And the Orange Order were in place as absolute bastards to the Irish and Catholics. But in the east of Canada, the government had already started becoming very liberal, and it was a very diverse area, and there were loads of Irish already. So they were like, no, you can't have your own area, but other than that, you might as well, it's easier to just do nothing and let it happen. So they're all just, everyone's over on the east side.
Okay.
So like Montreal, Hamilton, that crack.
But I know, yeah.
I think that's the area where a lot of the Irish were.
Yeah, like I spent some time living around Hamilton before, years ago. But like if you talk to people from Newfoundland, they sound like they're from Ireland. The Canadian accents.
If it's not, I was over in Roscommon looking at this fella's grave one week, it's, I actually spent some time in Hamilton the next. Kevin, grab a hold of yourself, right?
I've been everywhere. I'm a well-travelled man.
I know, but we're trying to connect with the listeners, and you keep taking them out of it with your interesting, vast life. Just stop.
It's just
you're
too
hurting
much.
some people out there. You're hurting them. But yeah, so there was enough Irish over there anyway that he was now obviously still a well-known man. So getting into politics, dead handy, and he had some friends over there too. So he became a big Canadian nationalist. And like I said, wanted Britain to sort America out. He was genuinely a conservative, rich white man now. Big fan of Parliament.
So sorry, he started asking Britain for help.
Well, yeah, he was like, if we stay good with Britain, they'll defend us from America.
And are
it's
they
just
not
like having it's like starting at a lad outside a nightclub and having your bigger mate behind you. You protect me.
But then also that bigger mate being like, didn't you try and stab me 10 years ago? No. That's not me at all. Let's team up on America.
No, but the politics went well for him because he eventually served as the Minister for Agriculture, Immigration and Statistics for a bit. We'll brush over the time he defected from one party to another to endorse a bill so Catholics would attend separate schools.
Right. Did he want Catholics to attend separate schools?
Yes.
Right.
That's what I'm reading.
Okay. Presumably the better ones.
It could be maybe better ones, or also because they could be getting a hard time in the Protestant schools.
Yeah, maybe. So
the Orange Order.
What was his title? He was in charge of farming, immigration, and statistics.
Yeah, agriculture, immigration, statistics.
That's a good combination because anytime they're like, our wheat numbers are way down, and I'm starting to get worried. There's too many Irish immigrants in this country. You're like, well, according to the stats department, we're actually doing fine. There's actually very little immigrants, like 1%, and our wheat yields are up 700%.
Well, you would worry that if the person in charge of statistics had two other things, because they'd only be doing that. Like no one's then looking at finance. It's like I'm just doing statistics for agriculture, and immigration, and as far as I'm concerned, let them in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it probably worked out well for us, but I don't know if you should have this man as head of immigration. Although it does seem like he's become, as you say, just another conservative politician who's pulled the ladder up behind him.
Exactly, yeah, and he did. Well, he got a good 10-year run out of it, or close enough to it. But what happened in 1865 Canada, Kevin?
Mr. Whelan showed up.
Will you stop bringing him up? He has absolutely nothing to do with this podcast. It was just a nice little segue. I like to bring you on a journey and then pop into someone for a cup of tea. That's just him, all right? To stop, you just leave him. Now,
the Fenian raids of
there
Canada.
There you go. But he wasn't a big fan of the Fenians. Instead, kind of saying, "Don't attack. Just look for limited self-governance, like in Canada." But this cost him a lot of his support, given the fact that it's the exact opposite of most of the things he's been saying for all of his life.
Sure.
He's kind of on the opposite side at this stage. You'd think he would have been a big supporter, but no, now he's saying kind of like, here lads, don't be attacking us, and also like don't be fighting with England, just kind of look for limited self-governance like in Canada. But also I suppose that's what they have been looking for.
But he's turned, but like he was a Fenian like 20 years previous.
Yeah, this cost him a lot of support because it's given the fact that it is the exact opposite of most of the things he's been saying for most of his life.
Yeah, sure.
So he wanted out of government now because the tide had kind of turned in terms of public popularity. And And John A. Macdonald, the man who'd be known as the first Prime Minister of Canada, wanted to give him the position of basically head or commissioner of patents, as it was an easy job, so he'd have loads of free time, but he'd still be involved somehow.
Right.
Like in politics.
Yeah. It's the commissioner of patents, like for new inventions.
Yeah, which I was looking at that going, yeah, that's the worst job to give someone part-time.
Yeah.
That's possibly the most important job in a society, in modern society.
It's certainly like at this time, I guess, I don't know, when you're coming into the technological boom, you don't want you want some guy to be showing up being like, can I get a patent on this new invention to save children's lives?
I'm only here because I'm doing a lot of favour.
I'm only in Tuesdays and Thursdays, mate. 10 till 4 o'clock, and to be honest, half of that is lunch hour. So, come back to me I am taking July off actually on a religious holiday. So get back to me by the end of the summer and we'll see about your incubator or whatever. Like, why have him in that job? Just have him in charge of, I don't know,
just
trees.
Have him around.
Just have him around.
Give him a job. You don't need a title.
No.
But it wouldn't really matter anyway, as on the 7th of April 1868, Magee was participating in a debate in Parliament that ran past midnight, so it was late enough by the time he walked back to where he was staying, and as he was opening the door to Mrs. Trotter's boarding house, someone from inside shot him in the head.
Oh no.
You're laughing at Mrs. Trotter's boarding house.
I was.
Someone died.
Like, Mrs. Trotter's boarding house sounds like I don't
brothel.
know. No, it sounds like a Rowan Atkinson bawdy vaudeville show from the 40s. I don't know. Who are matron? You're welcome to Mrs. Trotter's boarding house.
Well,
but then a man died within the end of the sentence.
It'd be a dark episode. That would have been. Imagine if Fawlty Towers if someone actually died. Like,
yeah, I mean,
a gunshot, and they're like, right, Manuel, hide this fella.
Yeah, Fawlty just snapped and then shot someone.
Yeah,
and
he shot Manuel and then just kept screaming, Manuel.
No, because you'd need Manuel, because the hilarity would all be in like getting Manuel to try and help them bury the body. Classic. Imagine Manuel in an interrogation room. I know nothing. He gets punched in the face. That's top quality. They should get Cleese back involved for season 3.
And if we write it.
Yeah, but instead of all of that, a man got shot in the face.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and
I mean, the clues were all there in fairness, because you were like, he had this job, but I feel like an awful lot in this podcast, something's set up, and then you're like, but that wouldn't matter, because instead of what he was supposed to do, he was shot in the face.
Yeah, usually I just like giving some backstory before someone gets shot in the face.
And you give the exact date as well. You only ever give the exact date if someone's going to die.
Yeah, it's the journalist in me.
Yeah. So wait, why was he still in Parliament after midnight? If he was, that doesn't matter.
He's debating
whether to show up for work in the morning at his patent office.
Also, the discount cheap pints in there.
Yeah, that's the real reason. He headed back to Mrs. Trotter's boarding house to board Mrs. Trotter.
Oh, but by the time people nearby heard the noise and rushed over, the murderer had got away.
Oh no.
Yeah, now, because it had probably been about, I'd say, I'm going to guess 4 hours since anyone went near the area where a gunshot went off. Because they're not mental.
No.
Like, no one rushes to that sound, but you always see that rote, where it's like, and by the time people got there, the murderer had escaped. It's like, of course, if you hear a gunshot, you run the other way. It's like, it's days before I would go down to the scene of that crime.
Yeah.
Someone just got shot dead. You want me to run over to that? What are you talking about?
2 days later, when someone worked up the courage.
Now his death brought about the what was known as the Dominion Police, the arming of the guards at the Parliament buildings in the city. And they protect the government officials, armed bodyguards. It's a secret service.
Yeah, well, they let the ball fucking drop there, didn't they?
Well, no, that's enough. This brought it about.
Oh, really?
As in, when he got shot, they're like, right, lads, we might have to start doing security. Turns out not everyone is as kind-natured as Canadians.
Right,
Some people are going in there and shooting each other dead. So, can't be doing that. Now, this Secret Service also had intelligence operatives who were undercover with the Fenians.
Oh.
That's a film in itself right there. But
rats, Jason. Touts and rats.
Touts for the Gardaí.
Well, touts for the... What do they call themselves? The Dominion Police. That's pretty cool, in fairness.
Now, it is really cool, but in 1920, they were absorbed by... they became part of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties.
And
they should... The Mounties should have became part of the Dominion Police.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. But D'Arcy was buried on the 13th of April, 1868, and feckin' thousands showed up. There was no one hating him that day. Not a bad word.
Maybe they showed up to make sure he was dead.
No. There was people crying. It was everyone. It was like the same as time anyone dies. He was a great man. Also, it was his birthday, so that would have been really bad for him if you were there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you reckon a few people showed up with like a big present, ready for his big birthday bash? Like, he got a big crowd.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to guess maybe, because out of a city of 105,000 people, 80,000 people came out for the funeral procession.
Right.
So he was a big deal.
I mean, after there's definitely a tipping point where like there's 1 million people in Dublin. Like if 800,000 of them went out in the streets, you'd kind of like if you're not going out, you're making a statement.
Yeah, once 300,000 people are out or 400,000 people walk outside, you're like, well, what's going on? I want to see what's going on.
Yeah, you kind of want to know what's happening. You're not going to be one of the guys. You're not going to be stuck inside.
No. But with D'Arcy's death, also went the moderate Irish Canadian vote, and we had either Fenians or Canadians, basically how people were dividing up.
Yeah.
So he's a very important man to the Fenian raids, even though he's not like directly involved in like fighting it or anything like that.
He just lost his political career at the back of it.
Yeah. Because the people made him really choose, and they're like, oh, that's not one of those like political moves where you're like, oh, I can just dance around this question. They're like, which side are you on?
Yeah.
But there's monuments to him there over in Tramone Bay in Donegal, and then there's one in Carlingford in Louth. Charlie Haughey unveiled that one with the Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney in 1991.
Very nice. Wait, Charlie Haughey unveiled it in 91?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of stuff named after him and all that crap. I'm not going to list them all out. It's too much effort. So what do you think of that?
That's good. I'm reading, because I had written down a bit about this guy before, and I'm just reading. I had like 6 lines about him, but it's pretty much, you covered it all. He's called Canadians' first nationalist.
Yeah. Well, he was a very important man overall in terms. I didn't really go into that too much in terms of what he was doing in politics, but he's seen as a man who worked for the lower classes. He was like people of all genders, people of all races. He was ahead of his time, and he was a good man. It's just that eventually he became conservative, which in fairness, most people become conservative once they get rich and old.
Yeah, so. That's true. Yeah, but I guess a lot of people of that like Young Irelanders generation had to leave because of the failed rebellion, and I suppose he didn't do the John Mitchell of it and just go full conservative racist. He just went. He changed his tune. He wanted help from Big Daddy Britain in order to beat up America. And
we should all be a little bit more like that, not in terms of we need help from them, although we probably do, but in terms of the older we get, the better we are with talking to English people. And Kevin doesn't swear at them just on sight anymore. Sometimes he barely throws a glass.
Yeah. Now I'll admit, once I get a few shandy borders in me, I get back to my old ways. But it seems like he was a decent skin, and because he's from Carlingford, I like him 7 times more. Why is there a monument in Donegal to him? Because he left from Donegal.
Yeah, that's where he snuck out when he was a priest. When he would dress up as a priest.
Can't they get their own figures?
Oh, but okay, wait. So there is one thing I forgot. So there's this guy called Patrick J. Whelan.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you remember him. I was talking about him a little bit earlier on.
You did. You mentioned him once or twice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to do a story on him. That's a good, shall we say, follow from this episode.
Yeah.
There's a few links, a few familiar faces, characters that'll pop back up again.
Because we haven't even related the two so far. They were just in the same. They were in the same province at the same time.
Yeah, but it's just Irish lads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the only two Irish boys in Canada at the time.
There's some face. No, there's just some people there linked together. But more importantly than that, there's a tale of a whodunit murder, an Irish politician's death, an Irish tailor in Canada married to an elderly rich lady in Ottawa, possibly being wrongly accused, and a bunch of whatever else we talk about because we haven't recorded it yet on the very first Patreon only Shite Talk. Ah,
hooray!
Look at that. Anyway, the episode's going to be called the murder trial of Thomas Magee, Patrick J. Whelan, or maybe the assassination of Thomas Magee by the coward Patrick J. Whelan.
Wait, so these two unconnected stories. He also happened to be. He was walking out of Mrs. Trotter's barn. He slipped and fell on the handle of his gun and shot fellow Irishman Thomas Magee. Oh, that's good.
There's a lot of... Well, let's see, I just assume the reason I have to go on Patreon is this episode's already gone very long.
Yeah.
But also, it's just in keeping with Patreon, maybe there's some salacious things. I don't want Patrick J. Whelan or Thomas Magee coming back.
He's killed once, he could kill again.
Well, it could be their ghosts, or it could be their, great grandsons and the granddaughters just coming at me and shite talk. Yeah. So we don't have that kind of money.
We can't handle the heat.
No, we'll stay out of that kitchen. So that one will be behind Patreon.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
But
that's great. That's great too. Because he was from Galway, another Galway man trying to take down a good Carlingford soul. But cool. That'll be a good episode.
Yeah, should be fun.
Following on from this great episode. Nice.
Yeah, a tenuous link.
Yeah. All right, they have one similarity.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all from me. Unless you have anything else to say, Kev.
No, that's it.
Right. Well then, good luck. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Shafter.
See ya.